So there are two lawyers who actually had on YouTube who discussed the case of New Jeans. So I'll summarize what they said. So and then I'll give my 2 cents. So the first part will be really a summary of what they said. So don't come after me, okay? I'm just relaying to you what they said. All right. Okay. So this is him. That's the guy.
A legal battle of unprecedented scale in the history of K-pop idol
Okay.
group. A legal battle of
So if you want to watch him, I will leave the link of his channel in the description box once this is uploaded. So basically what he talked about in his episode is whether or not the complaints of New Jeans, if they are valid or not. One said, "Oh, I'm tired of New Jeans." Yeah, I mean, for me it's just corporate drama, and I'm going to give my 2 cents on this after this entire thing, so I'll do the summary first. So one of the complaints of New Jeans in terminating the contract is that they felt disrespected, specifically on the phrase new arc, meaning they get rid of, well, that's the term new arc, in the Hybe confidential report that was leaked. So the lawyer said this is not a valid grounds for termination because you don't really know what that means. Like, what does that mean? What's new arc? Like, there's no specific interpretation. And if there is no interpretation, then you can't use it as a ground. You're going to have to come up with an unquestionable interpretation first. And then, if that interpretation is actually a violation of your right, then you can use it as a ground to terminate the contract. There are two types of ambiguity. So that's what it is. The term is ambiguous. Legally, there are two types of ambiguity. One is when the uncertainty is obvious from the wording itself. So for example, a contract states two conflicting terms. So for example, the contract states that if you're pretty, then we will pay you, but if you're not pretty, we will pay you. Like, what is it? Like, these are two opposing terms and they're both in the contract, right? Um so so that 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 is what they call patent ambiguity. Latent ambiguity is when there are external factors that makes a certain terminology unclear. So for example, there is a contract that states, or for example, a will, and the property is left to John. So I bequeath my house and lot to John, but there are three Johns or four Johns in this family, and it's not clear which is the John that you're talking about. That is latent ambiguity. So in this specific term, in this specific instance, is latent ambiguity because you don't know what that term means. So it's like troll alert. Who is the troll? Next, um, lack of action regarding another. Next is lack of action regarding a statement by a manager from another label telling Hani. Okay. Okay. Solved. Okay, going back. So the second one is lack of action regarding a statement by a manager from another label telling Hani ignore her. So the thing is that Adore has no authority over an employee of another company. And this specific manager who allegedly said ignore her, referring to talking to I'll It and referring to Hani, is supposedly an employee of another company. So specifically of B Lift Lab. So Adore cannot control what B Lift Lab is going to do with their employee, right? So um, you're asking another company to do something for you. You can't do that. Now, and this is what is glorious when it comes to precedent. The court already said Hybe and Adore are two different companies, right? That means Adore cannot demand Hybe to fire that employee who is employed by another company. So because the court solidified that Hybe and Adore are two separate companies, and that was the entire grounds for them giving Mama Roach the injunction, to favor her in the injunction case. They said to Hybe, well, Adore and Hybe are two separate companies, and she may be sabotaging Hybe, but she's not sabotaging Adore. So you can't fire her as the CEO of Adore because she's not touching Hybe. I'm sorry, she's not touching Adore. She's taking care of Adore. She's trying to sabotage you, but not Adore. So the precedent has been established that these are two separate companies. So now Adore and Hybe can use that to their advantage and say, according to you, which is the court, we are two separate companies. So Adore can't demand Hybe to ask another company, who's also a separate company, to fire an employee. So that's not grounds for a termination of contract. Next is the insufficient response to inappropriate comments by a member of Hybe's PR team. So they said that this PR person was disrespectful to whatever, and to New Jeans, and this lawyer said Hybe and Adore took appropriate measure to address an issue, and stating an inappropriate comment, like saying something inappropriate or disrespectful, does not justify a contract termination. It can justify a suspension, it can justify a warning, but it does not justify a contract termination. Next, unauthorized release. This is another reason that New Jeans is giving the court, giving everybody why they feel that the contract is already automatically terminated. Unauthorized release and failure to remove New Jeans trainee photos and videos. And the lawyer said Hybe and Adore did not release those videos. It was another company, and Hybe and Adore actually asked that company, those media outlets, to take out those posts, and they didn't. So but Hybe and Adore already they did their part. They asked the media outlet to take down the post. um and then the term push out is another issue that New Jeans raised. They said that they used it to undermine our achievements, but the lawyer said there is no clear definition of what a push out is. It's not a legal term. So nobody knows what it is. Second is that there are standard sales programs used by different companies. So just because it is a standard sales program or marketing program, it doesn't mean that it's undermining your achievement. It's just a standard program that companies are using. Okay, last is that they are disputing, well, second to the last, they are disputing the dolphin kidnapping crew director who complained about the content getting taken down. And the lawyer said this is a business decision. You have no right, just as an artist, to demand what should go up and what shouldn't go up. That is an overreach. The company will decide what they will publish and not publish. And then last is the demand. They are actually, oh, sorry, this is second to that, as demanding all measures to protect New Jeans' identity and ensure that their activities will not be disturbed. And New Jeans has so far continued all of their activities uninterrupted, with no disruptions, with the full support of Hybe and Adore. So they can't complain that their activities is being interrupted, because they're not. They're actually being given more work. They're the ones that are refusing it. And that's important later. And then last, this is the real last item in their reasoning for terminating the contract, is advocating for Min Hee Jin to return as CEO of Adore. And the lawyer said that is not the decision. Who is going to be the CEO is not the decision of the artist, it's the decision of the company. So according to his assessment, none of the clauses or reasons that New Jeans provided to terminate their contract is actually valid. Okay, now another YouTube channel interviewed a lawyer to talk about this entire issue. It's actually, I think it's about an hour or an hour and a half long, and I'll just give you some of the major points. I am not done watching it, but I'll give you several of the major points that I have so far gotten from it.
어떻게 해서 위치로 조금 더 뒤로 가시고 제가 좀 앞으로 가면 맞을
He's a journalist and he has been targeted by Mama Roach before as well. But I will put the link in the description box once this is uploaded so that you can go to his channel and watch the actual interview. There is an English sub already. So one of the questions that he asked is there an issue with Min Hee Jin and New Jeans retaining the same law firm? Because they retain the same law firm. So the lawyer said, yes, there is a conflict of interest, and the court can actually say you shouldn't be doing this, but it's not an outright no. It's not an automatic violation of any kind of rule. It's more like ethically they shouldn't have done that. Okay, so it's not a clear violation. He also said that at some point, Hybe may acknowledge a breakdown in the relationship of trust and just file a civil lawsuit for damages, meaning that Hybe should probably, or Adore should probably just, at some point, they will just give up and say, this is beyond, the relationship is beyond repair. Just pay us for the damages. And honestly, I think that's what they're going to go for already, but I'll go to that later. So far, these are the things that the lawyers stated in the interview. Next, he said that Hybe doesn't need to demand 600 billion won right away from the start. He said that. He said that they can just do a partial claim in the beginning and then later on claim more. He was asked, so the interviewer asked the lawyer, like, if you took the case, how much damage are you going to charge? Are you going to ask for? And he said 200 billion won per member. So 5 members. It's like, wow. So that's what he said he was going to charge. Like, I will charge 200 billion per member. That's the damage that he will be claiming for. But he's saying, like, it doesn't have to be everything at the same time. They can do a partial claim, and then if they renew their activities, because they're going to, once they reach a settlement, then the 5 girls will be allowed to resume their activities. So then Hybe can then ask for more, especially if they start making money. Okay. The reporter also asked, can Min Hee Jin successfully exercise the put option? And he said, this is the summary of what he said. Initially, I thought, this is him talking, there was about 50% chance of success. Okay. However, because Min Hee Jin keeps on damaging the value of Adore as a company, then the liquidation is probably going to be next to impossible, because now there's nothing to liquidate. You keep on damaging the brand, there's nothing to liquidate anymore. So if Adore's liquidation ends up, for example, becoming 30 billion won, that is the total liquidation value that they will get out of the company. And then Min Hee Jin says, give me 26 billion for my 13% stake, because that's what he intends to liquidate, 13%. And the value of that, he says, the value of 13% is 26 billion. But by now, the value of the entire company of Adore is only 30 billion. The court is probably going to say, get real. Be for real. So the court is probably going to say, nah, you can't do that. Like, there are people to pay, creditors to pay, and whatever. So they will probably just dismiss it, or ask Hybe to pay to offset the payment instead of directly buying Min Hee Jin shares. So in the end, the lawyer thinks that she can exercise the put option, but she's probably not going to get the amount that she wants because of her own doing, because she keeps on damaging the brand of Adore. Then Adore is worth nothing. Once they liquidate, there's nothing left, basically. You can't force a company. The company can just declare bankruptcy. Chapter 11 is what we call it. What about It's plagiarism issue? So his question is like, who's going to win? And the lawyer said it's really not a very important thing for the court. Like, it's not something that they need to rule. Primarily most likely because it's not considered like clearly It was the one who suffered damages. but the court doesn't have to, like, what is the court going to do about it? They can declare that it actually suffered any damages, but they don't have to ask the other party to pay any penalty, according to him. Okay, this is the lawyer talking, and he said that he's really not sure why Min Hee Jin filed a counterclaim for 5 billion won. He said he's not really sure about that. Okay, now this is now my point of view. um People are asking, so Old Shorts actually did a contest on their IG account, I think, asking their fans to give them a temporary name, or a name, most likely temporary, because they said they're not giving up on the name New Jeans yet. So people are asking, is it breach? Do know that I am not a lawyer. This is just me with all the entertainment business, whatever experience that I have. It is a breach, because if the court recognizes the validity of their contract with Adore, then they shouldn't be doing any kind of business without the approval of Adore. If the contract actually has that, if the contract states that the five girls actually has to work for Adore, then they shouldn't be doing this. So it could be breach for as long as the court recognizes the validity of their contract. But more than that, I do feel at this stage, I feel like the actions that they're doing is just too juvenile for me. It's like I think Bang Shiuk was right to not say anything about this, to sort of just allow the lawyers to do their thing and spend his time on something more productive, because it's just Jewish. It's like so childish. I can't believe, and I can say this very easily because it's not my money getting burned, right? um, Bang Luna is saying that I think it's like three stooges doing business. I think they would do better business. I think that's how I feel. It's so silly. I don't like, who's giving you an advice to do all of these things. That's how I feel. Like, I wouldn't, if I am the one to advise them, I wouldn't even know where to begin, because everything is just so silly for me. Like, why are you even going to risk? Let's just say you have a firm belief that the company is violating your right? So for example, if I'm New Jeans and I have this firm belief that the contract is terminated, that they are violating my rights, and that they really shouldn't be managing me, the contract shouldn't be valid anymore, I still wouldn't do it this way. I'm not going to just unilaterally declare the contract is invalid. I'm going to go my own way. Bye bye. I'm not going to do that. It's just so. I might ask the court for a temporary permit to allow me to work, because this is my living, right? So I will ask the court, like, come on, let me work while we settle this matter. But I'm not just going to unilaterally say the contract is not valid. Like, I don't know where they are getting this idea. Now, let me say this again. I cannot emphasize this enough. I do not take it against the girls. To this day, I believe that they're still brainwashed, and that it's still that all the adult around them, everyone failed them, and that includes Hype for hiring Minijin. So this is not their fault. They are so deep into her world that they are not thinking clearly. Okay, now I think at this stage, Hype is just doing a CYA. Do you know what a CYA means? Do you know what it means in corporate world? This is a very, very important term. If you're going to work for any company, any corporation, this is one of the most important terminologies you need to know and practice all the time. It means cover your ass. Is cover your ass. That's what it is. That is what they're doing. They're just doing everything they can to make sure that the court sees they are doing everything they can to make it work. Like, they need to be able to go to court and say, we did this, all of this, we've done it, and more. So you know that we have the best of intention. There are two things: best efforts and reasonable efforts. What they want is to be able to show the court we did our best effort. We gave it our best effort. And that means taking in good faith all reasonable steps. So this is a legal term, all reasonable steps to achieve the objective. Okay, so this is what they want to prove to court. They want to be able to go there and say, we have not left any single stone unturned. So it includes doing everything known to be usual, necessary, and proper for ensuring the success of the endeavor. Right now, their endeavor is to make the relationship work with New Jeans. So that's what I think at this stage, that's all they're trying to do. They just want to be able to go to the court and tell the judge, we have done everything we could and more to make it work. They are the ones who's not willing to do anything. Okay, reasonable efforts is just reasonable effort. Like, yep, this is like we did everything that is legal, legally required. What they want is best efforts. So I think they're just really in the CYA stage. They're just trying to cover their ass so that when now that they are in court, they just want to be able to prove to court that there is absolutely nothing that we have done, that we haven't done to make this relationship work. So I also think that to a certain extent, and I'm pretty sure it's happening, people are also losing interest in this entire case, primarily because BTS is starting to come back. And people are now counting towards the return of BTS, right? So I think everyone is so focused on that they're not really concerned about what's going to happen here. I think at this stage, people are just thinking, like many Koreans are just like, oh, this is just another corporate case. Now people are just waiting for BTS to come back because they know. And then the other thing is, once BTS comes back, many other groups are going to make their comeback to try and ride onto the popularity and the press and the media coverage and the attention that BTS is going to get. That is why I think everyone should be careful, because she's going to do something again now that J-Hope is going to release his album. We know he's going to release it March 7. And then he's going to do his concert. So she's planning something. I mean, if there's anything that we have seen, the pattern is very clear. Whenever BTS does something new, there she is by them doing something else. So be very, very careful. And I think the best way is to do the usual thing that we do, and that is to absolutely ignore her and just focus on BTS. Let's not pay attention to whatever she wants to say. Let's just focus on BTS.